I'm ready for this. Hello, I'm Marsha, also known as Very Little on Instagram, Ravelry, and I have a Facebook page that you can feel free to join me on over there. This is my little podcast about knitting, and welcome to anybody who's new, anybody who has watched before and is coming back, and thank you for joining me today. We are here for the knitting. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is all just knitting. Deep breath. Get your drink. Whatever you're drinking, I'm drinking water with my lipstick stains on there. And we're ready to rip, rock, and roll. So I'm just going to dive straight in. I'm totally off of the charts weird today, okay? Okay, so now that that's clear, my brain is scattered. My last episode, before I stopped podcasting, I showed everybody a wonderful wrap that I designed, and I was looking for a name for it and planning on releasing it. So that didn't happen at that time. That release and pattern got put on hold because that's when everything just blew up in my life. But now it has been released. It is called the Ponder Wrap, and I'll show a photo here of what it looks like. I have two different versions that I knit. One is red, and it is knit out of West Coast color. And the yarn I chose is a fingering weight yarn, but she doesn't have that yarn base anymore. So you can, of course, go look at her colors. She has beautiful, beautiful bright colors, but the base that I knit this one on isn't available anymore. It's knit out of 5 skeins of fingering weight yarn, whichever fingering weight you choose. But it is a giant, it's essentially a schlanket, big circular shawl blanket. It is supposed to fit really big. It's not supposed to, really, it's a giant circle with sleeves. It's not something that you need to overthink. It is just something that's really meditative to knit. It is very easy to knit. It's very comfortable. It's a great wrap for just snuggling up on the couch in, or going out in the autumn, or even out to the car to warm up your car in the winter. You could just throw this on and go out. You could also wear it the other way around so that it's actually a blanket on top of you, but it has the sleeve holes so that you can still hold your coffee. So you can just snuggle up into it and hold your coffee and see, look. It's very, very comfortable and cozy. And I've taken it out and gotten some really beautiful photos done of it. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. So this one is the West Coast color one. And I have another one here. So the gray one I have is knit out of Sweet Fiber. It's a single ply yarn, and the colorway is Smoke. So I have 2 of those now. Today I chose to wear one of my hand knitted sweaters. This one is not designed by me. This one is called the Tucker Sweater, and it was from a magazine that was released a couple years ago. So this is the Tucker Sweater, and it came out in fall 2015 from Interweave Knits. It was a magazine one, and I'm not sure if you can get it on Ravelry or if you have to get it specifically from the magazine. The Tucker Sweater is by Amanda Schwezer. I don't know how to say that, but yeah. And you can see I definitely made some notes on here. I'm not gonna hold it still because this is a paid for pattern that I bought, and I want to maintain the for the designer. I want to make sure that if anybody is interested in this design, that they purchase the way that they need to get the design. It also is a chart. It was very fun to knit. This is knit out of, I want to say Malabrigo. It is definitely pilled though. I'm just going to double check that. So this Tucker sweater is knit out of Malabrigo Rios in the, I believe it's the Lumina colorway. I might have the colorway wrong because it's been so long. It was 2015 when I knit it. And I haven't worn it a whole lot. I do really love it. I've probably worn it 15 times. But with the Rios yarn, it actually, I don't know if you can see that, it has pilled really, really bad. And I have a gleaner, so I know that I just need to give it a haircut. The thing with gleaning it is that it clears off all of the old pills, but it creates ends that again will pill. So that's kind of the walk this yarn is going on, is it is going to continue to pill. That's just the kind of sweater it is. And I've learned a lot since I started knitting and since I knit this sweater as well. I've learned a lot about how to care for my knits. Like I used to wash them right side out, and now I wash them inside out, which is something that has really started to save my knits, because whichever side is getting the agitation on the outside when you're washing your knits, that's the side that's going to have more pilling. Wherever there's rubbing, that's why you would get rubbing more in your underarm. I don't know if you can see that pilling there. And then there's pilling on the outside. I wear this sweater with jackets as well, so that causes rubbing and pilling. And with this yarn, it's not going to stop. It's just the nature of this specific yarn. It works well for hats and for cowls. And it is a sweater yarn. Like you can knit sweaters. I obviously knit a sweater out of it. And it feels beautiful on. The yarn feels very soft. It's very nice. It's a merino. It's a merino super, I think it's a superwash merino, to be honest. And it does feel really nice to wear. It's not itchy or anything. Well, I don't find it itchy. Some people might, but I don't find it itchy. And it's a really nice, it was a really nice knit. It felt great in my hands. It didn't cause any pressure in my wrists or anything like that. So it was really great to knit with. Definitely worthwhile, but the pilling is something that I just will have to work with. And, you know, to be honest, so many yarns pill. It's just kind of the nature of it, the nature of the animal, the sheep. So some yarns pill less, but they're more going to be more of your workhorse yarns. So they're coarser yarns. The merino has a history of pilling in whatever you're knitting it in. So that's just kind of goes with choosing that yarn to knit an item out of. So this is a really beautiful sweater. I really love it. And it's modeled really well. The cables were really fun to do. Because it's knit from bottom up. So you're knitting these cables. I believe it's bottom up. Yes, it's bottom up. Let me check. Just tell you all these lies. Yes, it's knit from the bottom up. So you knit the bottom, you knit the sleeves, you attach the sleeves to the bottom, and then you work the yoke. And the yoke is this beautiful crosswise cable, which was a lot of fun. I learned a lot of skills. It was when I was first knitting. I'd only been like knitting, real knitting with patterns for about 2 years at that point. So it encompassed a lot of really cool skills. And I was fairly new to cabling, so that was really interesting. It's how they come together in the middle it fascinates me. So that was really cool. And yeah, it's a well-designed sweater. I did not have to make any corrections or anything about the fit. I am actually quite a bit larger now than I was when I knit it. I have got more real estate going on everywhere. So it's really nice that I can still wear it and it still fits and it doesn't like pull too much across the chest. And it's definitely, now it's, instead of a positive ease, it's a negative ease, which is, I'm okay with. It still looks great and I love it. So that is what I am wearing. Now for what am I working on? I'm actually finishing test knit I'm actually finishing working on a project that I was working on with my test knitters to do the inward wrap, which is right there, which is available now. And it's on Ravelry and it's 50% off till November the 15th. And you don't need a coupon code. So you can just go and get it. The coupon code's automatically applied in the checkout and perfection. So this is the one I'm working on right now. One of my test knitters ran into something. She's like, I don't know. And so I knit and caught up to her, and it turned out that a couple rows before there, she had misknit something or missed a yarn over or something. So it was a very easy fix, and the pattern was still fine. But I am knitting this one. I just finished the center. So you knit a square in the center and then you're knitting out each side. And it is coming along beautifully. I really enjoy all of the different colors. This one I thought needed to be a party. So this one is a party. It's bright colors. It's beautiful. And every single yarn in here, every single one of them has sparkle in it. I love that every single yarn in here has sparkle. It's really eye-catching. I don't think you can see it. You can see a little bit maybe in this one, but they all sparkle. Yeah, you can see a little bit in each one. It's like a fairy tale wrap, and it's so nice. So yeah, I'm knitting it. I have it on some Chow lace, which are currently my faves. And I have it on some Hiya Sharps, Hiya interchangeables, which are also very nice. Actually, I was knitting with a pair of Hiyas, and because of how, like, these ones, the Chow Goos are 5-inch and the Hiyas are 4-inch. And I've realized that I need to be knitting with a 5-inch, not a 4-inch. And the reason being is because of how I hold the needles in my hand. It actually causes a weird bend right there. I don't know if you can see that. And the Chow Goos is just fine because of where my hand lands on there. When I'm knitting, it doesn't push anything, but with this one, it does. So it lands in the palm of my hand. So it puts pressure there. So actually the other day I was knitting on something and I went to pull it through for a magic loop, and it broke off right here. And luckily it was an interchangeable. So I just unwound the wire and put my needles tips away and found replacement needles and put them in. But yeah, it was a little frustrating, but and I'm currently looking for just the cables for the Hiyas because I want to replace the cable that's missing, and I do use them a lot because I do really enjoy them. I'm actually sensitive to nickel, so I can't knit with needles that have nickel. I have to use needles that are either wood, plastic, or stainless steel, and I don't like how plastic feels at all for my knitting, and wood makes my wrists, it causes more wrist fatigue for me because of the drag. So I prefer metal needles, and so I have to go to something that's stainless steel, and that would be either of these choices. There are a couple other needles that I use, but I'm not using them right now, so we'll talk about them in a future episode. So I'm going to go through each of the yarns now. You guys missed my rambles, didn't you? Yeah, I know you did. So we're going to start with this fantastic green. This is the green. And each of these colors is repeated a few times in in the wrap. So it just pops. It's so pretty. So this one is called, it's the colorway is Peridot, and it is from Apple Fiber Studio. Sparkling cider sock fingering weight with sparkle. So it's 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. So it's so pretty. It smells good too. I picked that one up at, I do believe, at Knit City a couple years ago. So a lot of my yarn was picked up a couple years ago, or because because of the lockdown, there hasn't been any events since last year. So that is what we're doing. And this one is, this beautiful yellow, is by Riverstone Yarn. It is called Gold Rush, 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. So that's got the sparkle. Look at that sparkle. Yeah, it's showing up really well. The next one is also by Riverstone Yarn, and it is the black gray. It's more of a gray. And it is called Diamonds at Night because it sparkles. Rockstar sock yarn, 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. So pretty. So pretty. I love that color. The next one is by Nicole C. Mendez, and it's called Reuben on Silver Sock, 71% wool, 24% polyamide, and 5% lurex, which I'm assuming is also stellina. So, and you can see all the sparkles there. I'm really impressed with this camera, actually. This is the one I'm going to be using from now on. And then the final one is Riverstone Yarn, Rockstar sock yarn, in rose quartz. And again, this is 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina. So those are the color choices for this one. I'm going to continue knitting on it and get it done and have it so I can wear it as soon as possible. I'm really excited to get this one on me. And the one that you see in the background here is Ginger Snap Yarns, and she's based out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, and her yarns are fantastic. And I am concentrating on just using the yarns that make me the happiest. I had a bunch more yarn back here, but last winter, and I'll show you guys these, but I'll show you guys these in a future episode. But what I did is I took all the colors that I wasn't using or were given to me as gifts that I couldn't envision what they would be, the one skein wonders that I had no projects in mind and I didn't know what I would want to knit with them. So what I did is I took all of those skeins and any scraps. So I had like the tiny scraps of yarn that you often have after socks and stuff, and I put them in like color categories. And then I did I do believe it's called a Russian join, where you slip knot one side, slip knot the other side, and pull it tight, and both slip knots catch each other so they won't undo. And the more pressure put on it, the tighter the knots get. So I did that, and then I created these monster balls, and I'm sure I showed pictures of them on my Instagram. I had a bunch of monster balls that I had, and last Christmas and last year and like in the spring before is when I kind of started a purple and gray based one, and then I put that one away and I crocheted two massive scrap blankets, and I held two together, and I crocheted these massive blankets and ended up giving them away as Christmas gifts. But I called them my worry blankets because I didn't have enough. I wanted to be crafting, but I didn't have enough of an attention span to be working on something that required any sort of thinking or any sort of organization in any way, because of just everything that was going on. It was too much. And so I pulled out these blankets and I made them, crocheted them, and they are they came out, because they're knit with wool and they're held double, they came out heavy, so they're kind of like a weighted blanket. So when I'd work on them, the extra weight on me actually helped to ground me while I was working on them. And they turned out beautifully. Actually, you know what, if I can find pictures of them, I'll post them here so that you can see them. It got rid of a lot of scrap yarn. It got rid of a lot of yarn that I didn't really have a plan for. And it still had me crafting and creating, but in a way that it was more passive, so that I could just like think about what the plan was and what I was doing and the directions I was going with my life, etc., as you do when you go through a big change. So that is what happened there. So I have a way less yarn. This is actually almost all of my yarn now, and I used to have like this much, plus like all of these were full, and then I had containers over there that were also full of yarn, which are no longer full of yarn. I had a bin that had like a ton of minis. Those are all gone. Just cleared it out, and all of this yarn is fairly like, all of this yarn that's here brings me absolute joy. And I don't necessarily have a plan for all of it, but just sitting with it and pulling it out and looking at it, like, it gives me so much more inspiration. It feels like things are clear, if that makes sense. Like, it gives me more of a knitting direction, which who needs a direction, but apparently I do. So I'm just gonna go with that because I'm going with the flow these days. So that is what has happened with all of my yarn. There is actually a stack right here that you can't see that I have pulled out from here. So there would be more yarn in here, but I've pulled it out because I'm designing. So I pull out different yarns for different ideas. When I was pulling out the yarn for this inward wrap that I'm currently knitting, I pulled out a bunch of different colors and laid them all out, and some of those haven't been put back yet. And then I have other inspiration ideas for different yarns. So I just like to sit with it. Like, that's part of my creative process, is I'll sit with the yarn and spend time with it to see what it wants to be, and just like leave it out in my space so that I can see it. I have some yarn here that I've had this yarn for a couple years. It was from Knit City 2018, I want to say, and it might be 2017, I'm not sure, but it's Richard DeVries, and I picked up these 4 skeins, and at the time I had something in mind for them, but I don't have that project in mind for them anymore. So these are out because I want to make something with them, but they haven't told me yet what they want to be. So so they're just hanging out with me, and they will until I start working with them. And sometimes I'll work with a yarn and rip it out 4 times before I actually know what it wants to become. So I think that's it for me for today. So a quick little jibber jabber at the end. So if you were just here for the knitting, that's that of that. Thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. For those of you who are interested in jibber jabber, I don't actually have a lot to jibber jabber about right now. There's tons going on that I can't talk about, that I'm not allowed to talk about. But as far as like everything else goes, today you guys will see this in 2 weeks, and so today is November the 3rd, and so there's lots happening outside in the world that we're like watching and waiting. Halloween just happened, and we had a lot of fun. Actually, you guys, what we did is we stayed home. One of my kids dressed up. We bought a whole bunch of candy, and all of the kids had their favorite candy. And then we put a bowl of candy outside of the front of the house with a container of hand sanitizer and a little sign. And it looked so cute. And we and we watched this show that used to be so creepy to me when I was a kid. It's by Disney and it's called The Watcher in the Woods. It's not a horror, it's just suspense. It's just suspenseful. There's nothing gross in it. It's just gives you that and then it gives you the a few times. So it was really good. It's the first like scary movie I've watched with my kids, and it was the first scary movie I watched when I was young. So my sister actually got it for me for my birthday because October was my birthday month and I just turned 40. So we were planning on this big, I was hoping that I would be able to take the girls on a really big trip for my 40th as a celebration. But because of all the travel restrictions, that wasn't allowed. So my sister got me Watcher in the Woods for my birthday, but then I ended up taking the girls on a grand adventure. And I've taken them on so many adventures in their life. Like I think that there's only been like 1 or 2 like trips that they've gone on. Like one was to the coast in like Vancouver and one was to the Oregon coast. Those are the only 2 trips that they've gone on that I wasn't there for. So like they really enjoy going on big trips and like camping trips and stuff. And I've taken them on so many adventures. And so I just wanted to take them on this trip, this getaway, and it was so much fun. We picked up one of my older daughters who we picked her up in Vancouver, and then we went on a trip to Vancouver Island and went up to Tofino, which is like it's a really cute town, and it's kind of like a surfing culture. And I rented a cottage on the ocean for the weekend, so the kids had full access to the ocean all weekend long, and it was so relaxing. We saw the starfish, and somebody had like written in the sand their names and Tofino 2020 plus heart, blah, 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 which I thought was really cute. I took a picture. I'm like, I don't know who these people are, but I think they're adorable, whoever they are. And, yeah, it was a really good unplug weekend. We tried to have the least amount of devices and played board games. And I got like a ton of knitting done and a ton of like crawling over rocks and watching the tide come in. Found some sand dollars, which was really fun. We stopped at this cool little place. It is called Goats on the Roof. I've taken them there before, but this was really cool because we went into one of the shops that we hadn't been in before, and they got some really, really great, cool souvenirs that they really love. And one of them is like this like little, and I picked one up too, actually. It's like a little room and everything's like miniature, but you put the whole thing together. And mine is a craft room that I got to put together. So I'll have a craft room in my craft room. And one of my other girls, she picked up a bedroom, and Scylla she got a couple of them. One is a gift for somebody. And one of my girls got a library because she's a huge reader. So I'm really happy about that. And I hope she sticks to putting it together, because if she does, it's going to look really, really cute. So speaking of books, more jibber jabber. So this year I have read 105 books. I had a goal of 40, and then 50, and then 60, and then 70, and then 80, and then 90, and then 100, and then 105, and now it's at 110, and I've read 105 books read. I've listened to 105 audiobooks because I do other things while I'm listening to them, which is how I get more accomplished, but also I'm intaking a lot of information. A lot of the books that I have been listening to are about healing, trigger warning, healing from trauma, and just being able to like put all of that aside and be able to move forward in a really, really healthy way. Because it's so much deeper than just that one situation I went through. And I've learned a lot about myself and what I'm allowing in my life and who I'm allowing in my life and what I'm allowing them to control. So I've learned a lot about boundaries and and stuff. So it's really, really good. It has been a growth year for sure. For sure. There has been books in there for entertainment. There's been, went through the Little House on the Prairie series with one of my girls, and those were really, they're very interesting. They tell you a lot about how to do a lot of things, which is really cool. And so I think that's it for me for today. I really hope you're having a great day. I hope that all of your knitting plans are coming true and that you're just enjoying the space you're in. So I hope you have a great day. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate every single one of you, and I hope that your knitting adventure is as wonderful as you are. Until next time.